Hello, good citizens. I just love the title sequence for the 1966 Batman. This is Sci-Fi History, episode 19, and we're going to be looking at the original Batman, 1996, starring Adam West and Burt Ward. Join me, won't you?
You're gonna break into the White House. Just another building, Clark. Some more guards, a few more locks.
Hello, Roy here with Sci-Fi History. To understand the genius of the 1966 Batman, we have to go back to its origin in comics, its creation in 1939 as the antithesis of the Superman character, the all-powerful Superman, stand up against any foe, on any ground, at any time, and have very little chance of being harmed, unless he did something stupid, which he often did. But Batman had to be smart, and he was driven. He didn't have the sunny disposition of the last son of Krypton. He didn't have the best of childhoods. He was separated from his mother and father in a brutal, vicious attack. He was a brooding character, seeking, at first, revenge. But he found that that was not the way to go. He wanted to eliminate pain, make sure that no one suffered the same pain that he had. Batman began with this dark, gloomy vision of the world, and he was a very dark character. He was very different than the character that we know today. There's been many different interpretations. He started off very dark, wasn't averse to carrying a gun or killing his enemies or those that would do wrong. As the 30s and the 40s continued, he began to soften after the end of World War II. When it looked as though the government would start censoring comics, the industry took on a self-censorship role by forming the Comics Code Authority, which limited what could be said and what could be shown in a comic book to protect the masses, to protect the children. Characters like Robin and Batgirl were added to the lineup in order to soften Batman's role and give him a chance to take on a fatherly role and a less gloomy one. Comic books were very popular in the 30s and 40s, but when it came into the 50s, the popularity of comic books had started to wane. Shifted from superheroes to science fiction and horror magazines and westerns. Many of the Golden Age superheroes had been discontinued, and only Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman had survived. Batman, barely. In the early 60s, the Batman comics had waned so far in the number of subscribers and buyers of the magazine that it was in great danger of being cut. Now, the 60s was a tumultuous time. The populace was screaming for more escapist entertainment, something much more lighthearted, and the networks were scrambling. Now, ABC would have liked to had Superman, but the rights were already held up. They were owned by a group that was putting on a Broadway play for Superman. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. So those rights were not available. Oddly enough, there's a Star Trek connection. Harv Bennett was a network executive at ABC, and he was interested in the Batman property and helped to acquire those rights. The show was then assigned to William Dozier to create the series. Now, Dozier wasn't familiar with Batman, had never had a Batman comic in his hands before. So he went out and he bought about 8 titles of Batman. After a few days, he came up with an interesting strategy. It seemed apparent to him that the way to play Batman was to play him so straight and so on that he would be funny. So they had a lot of elements of camp, and ABC was pushing its new color lineup, and Batman, with its broad basic color from comics, he figured that you'd have the kids for the basic story of Batman and the excitement and the adventure, and that you'd have the adults with the humor, and that was the only way that the show stood a chance. He was very innovative in some of the elements that he worked into Batman. He wanted to first come out with a Batman movie, which would help in getting him the large props that he needed for the series. And it would be covered underneath a movie budget as opposed to a meager, comparatively, TV budget. Also, much in the same manner that movies were serialized, he wanted to make Batman to have that same sort of feel. So, for the first time in television history, they made a show that was on twice a week and ended in a two crime-fighting superheroes defending Gotham City from a number of arch villains. This included championing the use of seatbelts, doing homework, eating vegetables, and drinking milk. But, like I said, for kids, it was purely a action and adventure show. But the adults, they got the joke. 120 episodes aired over the 3 seasons. 2 shows per week in the first 2 seasons, and 1 single show in the third. In 2016, Batman was rated the 82nd best television show of all time. Now, I should have mentioned before that because ABC needed to fill their slots, they pushed Batman into production early, before they made Batman the movie. Now, because of this, the movie was made in between the first season and the second. Julie Newmar was not available to play Catwoman, so they brought in Lee Merriweather. And the Batman movie played to a moderate success. And they got all kinds of new toys to use in the future. The Bat ski boat, the Bat motorcycle, Batmobile, which had already been created for the original series by George Barris, king of the customizers, which was made out of a concept car, the Lincoln Ventura. And a legend was born. Batman had a long cast of recurring villains. Cesar Romero played the Joker. Burgess Meredith played the Penguin. Frank Gorshin made a extremely engaging Riddler. Catwoman was played by that seductive Julie Newmar. Victor Bruno played King Tut, an original character for the show.
We've spoken by that guard's gun, for instance.
Oh, no. Oh, please, you can't ask me to rat on my friends.
Oh, yes, I can, and you'd better start ratting fast.
Batman was a huge hit when it first hit the screens. It was incredibly exciting. Batmania had taken over, but as quickly as Batmania had taken hold, it soon began to phase out. Batman was, at its heart, a victim of its own success. The show had been rushed into production to begin with, and it was hard to keep up with the 2-episode per week production schedule. The show had been perfectly cast, and the exciting villains of the show and the tremendous genius of Adam West helped make everything work together. Any of those elements had been different, it's hard to say if it would have been a success. Batgirl had originally been pushed as a spin-off series. Unfortunately, that was not in the cards. Yvonne Craig was added to the 3rd season of Batman. Batman had been reduced from the 2 episodes per week to just 1 episode per week. It was hard for the writing team to juggle the new characters during the 3rd season and to maintain the production value they had achieved over the 1st and 2nd season, especially with production cuts. At the time, there was some controversy with the show because there were still some comic book Batman fans that were afraid that campy style of Batman was destroying their character that they had come to know and love. I was completely unaware of this. Being a 6 to 9 year old, I thought the show was great, and I've only grown to appreciate it more as I got older and saw it from a different point of view. Batman, the Bright Knight, can exist very easily in our universe, especially in our universe of Elseworld stories of so many different variations of Batman. I can't believe that there's not room for Adam West and his Bright Knight. Later on, Batman actually came back to comics. I should say Adam West came back to comics in a series called Batman 66. Adapted any number of stories, and he met other icons such as Wonder Woman, the Hulk. No, not the Hulk, but you know what I mean. And met other cultural icons in the superhero world. And it was a lot of fun. They also had some original videos that came out with the 1966 line, Return of the Cape Crusader. They had Two-Face return in yet another sequel to the Cape Crusaders. And it starred William Shatner as the voice for Two-Face, which probably going to be in Batman Season 4 if it had continued. ABC canceled the show after its 3rd season. Possibilities of it being bought by CBS. But unfortunately, CBS came in with their offer too late. And the Batman sets had been destroyed, and there wasn't enough budget to recreate him. Batman was canceled. Then Batman went on to become a huge hit in syndication. That's where many people became fans of Batman. It was a lot of fun watching Batman in his original run, and it was made just for me. So I appreciate the work that they put into it to make Batman 1996 the incredible Batmobile, Batcave, labeling of everything in the Batcave and everything that was Bat related. First, it was just helpful for kids to see what was going on, and it was gave everyone a chuckle when you got older. Adam West had such an incredible delivery of his lines, and the banter between him and Robin was always fun to watch. There's a reason why he's called the Boy Wonder. That incredible ability to solve impossible riddles. He had good writers. That's the answer, I think. So thank you for walking down memory lane with me to see Batman 1996. And it's a world worth visiting and revisiting. So thank you for joining me here on Sci-Fi History. Changing times and time. And I'll be back here next week at 9 o'clock. And I hope you're there, and we'll do something exciting. Thank you, good citizens. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Excuse me. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?